Good afternoon, welcome to Tame Cars. I'm Nick, and I've got our resident health expert George with me here today. You might be thinking, why have we got a health expert talking about cars? Well, lots of our customers are talking to us about constant either back pain, shoulder pain or leg pain while driving. And what George is going to do today is show us some really good ways of being able to sit yourself up, prepare yourself for a long journey and be able to drive in comfort. So I'm actually going to get fitted into a car. So look forward to it. Thank you, George.
Let's go.
Okay, so I've got George with me in the car. George, can you tell me, what are the sort of main adjustments? How can I make myself comfortable in the car?
Well, for most people, the main adjustment is going to be the seat forward and backward position.
Yep.
Now, if you're going on a short journey, like dropping the kids off at school or a quick run to the shops, then for most people, that's going to be the main one to focus on. And actually, if you share a car with a partner or your wife or husband or whatever, then you're going to need to probably have different seat setups. So most people will just focus on this one, but we'll go through the others as well. Okay. So to do that, there's a little lever just between your legs there, on kind of quite close to the bottom, and you can pick that up and you can move it forward and backwards quite easily. Yep. What you're looking for is to get to a position where when you depress the clutch all the way down, it's not twisting the pelvis. You don't want to be bunched up, you want to be quite far away from it, but you don't want to be twisting the pelvis as you push the foot down. So that's the easiest way of figuring out if you've got the right fore and aft position. So how does that feel as you are at the moment?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm stretching too much.
Yeah,
it's quite comfortable.
Because if you imagine doing that for a long time, every time you press the clutch down, you twist. That's one of the things that will give you a bad back over time. So it's really important that we have that one in. Yep. Similarly though, if you're too close, and it's no bother pushing the clutch down, then you can see your knees are up. And what happens there is when your knees come up, the backs of the thighs will come off the chair, and so there's more pressure around your bottom and the tops of the back of the thighs. Okay. That again can cause problems on longer journeys because it can restrict blood flow and it can just get really uncomfortable, so you tend to slouch and move around. So getting that forward and backward position is really important.
Okay, great, thank you.
Talking about the seat position, not all cars can adjust the seat angle that you're actually sitting on. This one doesn't, for example, but some do, and that can then start to give you a bit more comfort with that position. So even if you are in the correct position forward and back, just adjusting that handle, it's normally a little lever down on the side there. There isn't one on this particular model, but that will give you a little bit more flexibility with fine tuning. Yep. Again, for most people, that's not going to be an issue for certainly for shorter journeys anyway.
Okay, that's good.
The next most important one is going to be the seat height. Okay. Now, again, you get in the car, you'll know pretty much straight away if you're at the right height or not. Can you comfortably see out of the window there? Yep. If you're not, if you feel like you're too low or you're too high and your head's bashing on the ceiling, the roof of the car there, then just adjust that. And it's a pump action on this car, so you can lift it up or down, and you're just getting it to a position where you feel like you've got a good view of the road. Yep. And you're not getting too close, you're getting to feel claustrophobic as you drive there.
Got plenty of room there. So
good. Yeah. Okay, we're in business there. So they're the first two. The next adjustment is going to be the seat, the angle of the back of the seat. Okay. Now, the studies show us that we should have between about 100 and 110 degrees. And assuming you haven't got a massive protractor to measure this accurately, what you're looking for is that the shoulders are just behind the hips. So if you imagine if you were here bolt upright, then that's actually going to take a little bit of activity and activation from the muscles in the back of the body of your back, which to begin with, no problem, but over a period of time, even over a period of half an hour to an hour, you're going to feel that, and you're going to start getting that ache. So make sure it's back a little way. So that's normally the twist handle which you have on this, and some of them will be electronic, and that's fine, but we've got a twist on this one. Equally, you don't want to be too far back because you don't want to be falling asleep at the wheel. You want to be too relaxed and laid back there. So you want to be at that comfortable angle again, just behind shoulders, just behind the hips there. So once you've got this position, the final adjustment is the headrest. Yep. Now, most cars, all cars, in fact, I would imagine, will have the headrest will go up and down. Yep. Some of them will tilt forwards and back as well. Once again, this model, you can lift up and down, but you can't do much more than that. So just make sure that the bulk of the headrest is actually in position, that it just rests lightly on your head. You might still find that you drive with your head off that seat rest, which is okay. But if you imagine if it was pushing you forwards, and that's going to really cause this crick in the neck, which we've got to be a bit wary of there. And equally, we don't want too far back so that there's a big room there in case of an accident, so safety as well. So they're the seat positions. So that's the first thing to make sure that we've got the seat in the correct position.
Great. Okay. And in terms of while I'm driving along, is there anything else? Things like mirrors, or do I need to put?
So from once you've got that position, you're checking your mirrors, making sure that they're aligned. There's a neat little trick which I'll tell you about in a moment with the rear view mirror, but actually we haven't talked about the steering wheel either here. So this is the other thing, and I deliberately set this one up so it's very low down at the moment, so it's kind of its lowest setting. So as you look down now, you might find you actually struggle to even see the console. So you need to make sure that you can see through the top of the steering wheel into the control, the instrument panel there. But equally, as you reach forwards, you don't want to be bunched up here. You don't want to be stretching out, which is going to cause strain and stress in the shoulders and arms.
Okay, that's great, George. And so, is there anything else I kind of need to know when I'm driving along, like sort of mirrors or positioning?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you've got the seat position nicely set up, then obviously check your wing mirrors there. And there's a neat little trick I'll tell you about in a moment about the rear view mirror. But first, we have to get the steering wheel itself set up. So we've got the position of the seat, but everybody's arms and legs ratio is going to be a little bit different. And we need to position the steering wheel forward and back, and also up and down. Now, I set this up quite low for you before you got in the car, which you might have already noticed. So actually, if you look down now, your vision of the instrument panel is probably blocked by a part of the steering wheel. So we first of all need to lift that up to make sure that that's in the correct position. Most adjustments will be just on the column there, and then they just pops up. Now, how far out or back the steering wheel needs to come will depend again on your arm length and the position of the seat. But if you reach out with your arms in this 10 to 2 position and just touch the size of the wrists to the steering wheel, you want to be able to just touch the sort of the bottom of the palms there, or the wrists rather, without stretching forwards too much. So if it's too much of a stretch, just pull the steering wheel out a little bit more. There we go. And then it's rest there. If you lock that back into position now, and then as you have your hands in this 10 to 2 position, you should see you've got this nice bend in the elbows there. So it's not you're not reaching and overstretching. Because again, you'll be fine doing that for a short time, but over a period of not even that long, few minutes maybe, at least half an hour, you're going to find that that's going to cause a strain in your shoulders, and you'll find yourself slouching because the body. We try to find the easiest solution, so we don't want to get this strain, so we end up slouching and coming over here. That again puts pressure on the backs of our necks. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for our bodies to assume and maintain the correct seating position.
Okay, well, it feels comfortable.
Good.
That's good.
Hey, let me tell you about this, the rearview mirror. I remember listening and hearing about this in a book years and years ago. I read about it, kind of little tips for almost hacking productivity or hacking systems. And this one was fantastic because if you find yourself struggling with posture and core control and all the rest of it, then if you adjust the rear view mirror in the car so that you have to be sitting up properly to see out the back, then it reminds you every time you need to look out the rear view mirror to sit up properly. So if you're on the kind of the edge of that, and if you are slouching, you look in the rearview mirror and you can't see out the back window, it's that, oh, hang on a second, I should be sitting up. So even if you regularly forget to sit up and you end up slouching, you're at a junction or you're looking out through the rearview mirror, you realise again I'm slouching and I'm not sitting properly, so you end up sitting up taller again. So I use that, and I've used that with a lot of my clients in the past. It's a really neat little trick there. To make sure that you're reminded regularly to sit up properly.
Okay, that's brilliant, George. Thank you. And so, for example, and this happens a lot. I mean, I've got 3 children. We go on journeys, and we stop after a couple of hours, and I am feeling a little bit, a bit achy. Is there anything I can do now if I'm just about to go and get my coffee at the service station? Is there anything I can do to make myself feel a bit better? Yeah, absolutely. And actually, when you're in the sitting position, even if you're sitting down for a long period of time in the office, there's a couple of really simple stretches that you don't need to have an exercise mat or be in your PE kit to do, and you'll benefit from just for a few seconds as you get out of the car. So why don't we get out now and we'll finish off going through those stretches. Fab, thank you, George. Okay, so George, you're going to show me a few stretches to keep myself
yeah, absolutely. So good news is you don't have to look like a wally, or nobody even needs to know that you're doing anything. So that's always a good start. So the first one is for the hip flexors, which are the muscles right here in the front of the hips. When you're sitting down, these muscles will shorten and they'll tighten, and then when you stand up, they stay short and tight, and it can pull on the low back. It's one of the main reasons we get sore backs is because our hip flexors get short and tight. So we can remedy that to some extent by stretching them out, and just simply bring one foot slightly in front of the other. If you want to have a go at this as well, Just like that, there we go, just a little bit, and the back heel off the ground, and just draw the hips forwards. So you feel that stretch just coming in through the front of that rear hip there. Just do that for a few seconds, and then change sides, and do the same thing on the other side. So you're just lifting tall, you're pulling up, and you're pushing down with that back leg, and you feel the stretch coming in there. So even just a few seconds on each side, maybe repeated a couple of times, is going to start stretching out those hip flexors. So that's the first one. And actually, you demonstrated it very ably when we were in the car there. Just, I feel a bit tight. Actually, just stretching and opening up, and then allowing your shoulders to roll a little bit, and doing that a couple of times is another really good one, just to get some mobility back into your back again. And neither of those two things are going to draw unwanted attention to you, so you should be so you should be okay with that. But yeah, first of all though, get your seat position, your driving steering wheel position set up as best you can. Mostly important when you're on a long drive. If you're on the supermarket run, then just the forward and backward position is the most important one. But if the longer you're going to be driving for, the more important it becomes to get all of these setups correctly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, George. Much appreciated. And hopefully there'll be lots of you out there now. I'll see you at motorway service stations around the country doing flexes. See you soon.